fact that everybody keeps talking about him, he seems to be accomplishing whatever he's trying to accomplish, because the things he says are so outlandish. So, but he keeps getting headlines, and I guess that's what he wants. But I don't think it's helping his kids. I think it'd be better for them, if they could just play and have fun and not have to hear that every day. But whatever, it's all it's all part of it.
Add Steve Kerr to the list of Lavar Ball critics. We just heard him explain why he doesn't think Lavar is helping his kids. Will Kane back with us for this discussion. Stephen A., actually, I want to start with Max here. Do you agree with what Kerr said, Max?
Yes, Steve Kerr's logic is easy to follow, but I'll roll with Lavar Ball here because the fact of the matter is, whatever criticism you want to give him, and however this all turns out, and we shall see, he has 3 kids who are all going to play on scholarship for UCLA, the most storied franchise when all is considered in the history of college basketball. His son right now, where the attention is, Lonzo Ball, is probably the best player on maybe the best team in the country. I mean, what if they win the national title and he's the #1 reason why? So I understand the criticism. It's not hard to understand, and generally that criticism would apply. But it's equally hard to tell someone, a father, who's been doing things a certain way all along and has been met with great success with his kids, who, by the way, seem unflappable as it relates to their dad, including Lonzo, and especially Lonzo now, where that's where the attention is. It's difficult to tell that guy, however you've been doing things now, yeah, that's fine until now, but now stop. Now do things the way we are all telling you to do it, because I'm quite sure there were many steps along the way where he was tisked by others and told that's not the way you do it. And LeVar Balls are going, all right, you know what? I'm going to raise my kids. I'm going to do it my way. You do it your way. We'll see how it all shakes out. So at this moment still, I'm rolling with LeVar Ball, and I'm rooting for him.
Well, again, you can root for him all you want to, but I think you're wrong. And I think you're wrong by virtue of the fact that you're saying you're rooting for him. It's not about him. It's about his kids. That's who it's supposed to be about. And I've repeatedly said this on many, many occasions. I think a parent's natural default position is to protect their children. And it is clear that LeVar Ball is not protecting his children here. I'm not disrespecting him in any way. I'm certainly not trying to cast any aspersions on him in terms of the wonderful father that appears that he is, because he loves his children. He's taking great care of them. They're all materializing into something special. And certainly the marketing angle of it all, the notoriety, you can get where you're coming from. But he has been in the news for the quotes about Michael Jordan, for the quotes about Charles Barkley, for the quotes about Steph Curry. He was the one on Sports Nation playing basketball against your man Marcellus Wiley. You know, this is the reality. And so along the way, it just appears to be very, very glaring that it's more about him than his sons. And not only am I concerned about that, but I'm concerned because of those guys, those children of his. Because if you look at him and he becomes somewhat of a nuisance and he becomes somewhat annoying, because you're not going to try to get at him because he's a grown man and a family man and taking care of his family, etc., etc. You got 1 kid in college, you got 2 in high school. Who knows whether or not they're going to be subjected to an elevated level of vitriol or whatever the case may be, all because of the unnecessary attention that their father chooses to bring in their direction by choosing to be out there a little bit extra than you would like parents to be. Clearly, it's one of those situations where he's living vicariously through his children, but he doesn't appear to be thinking about them as much as himself.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think you summed it up perfectly when you said it's been made all about him. It's all about LeVar. Consistency would require us to go, that's a problem. We said it about Annie Apple when she injected herself into Eli Apple's issues. We said it about Aisha Curry when she criticized the NBA, that the athlete at the center of the spotlight should be the one at the center of the spotlight. And we're not talking about Lonzo Ball, who plays today in a few hours. We're not talking about his 2 younger brothers. We're talking about their dad, exactly the way he wants it. And that's not the way it's supposed to be. And also, Max, I don't think we're forced to be in this sort of all or nothing choice. It's not whether or not LaVar Ball is a bad father. Clearly he's doing things right. I'm sure he's a good father. But that doesn't mean he isn't doing something wrong. And the wrong here is this. What does he want for his family and his children? I have to give credit to Jay Billis on this, because the appropriate analogy is the Kardashian clan. If he wants fame and money, he may just be doing the exact right thing. He will make his kids famous. Possibly more famous than they deserve for their basketball talent.
His kids are talented, so that's a little different with the Kardashian. They didn't have a specific talent.
It's not about whether or not they're talentless, as the Kardashians have been accused of, but whether or not their fame and renown exceed their status in their chosen profession. And right now, you would have to say, despite how good Lonzo Ball is, the entire attention on the Ball family has exceeded what he's done on the basketball court. It's exceeded that.
Ideally, if you want it, ideally, in terms of profiting, that's actually not a bad idea. Well, as long as the kid can play.
Okay, look, Max, if your goal is simply to get fame, to get money, then perhaps LaVar Ball is on the right track. But if your goal is to be a great basketball player, to have a long career in the NBA, then that is the thing that LaVar Ball is undermining.
No, wait a minute. He may be marginally undermining that, but ultimately, if the kid's going to be a great player, he will be a great player regardless. If these kind of antics, raise his profile beyond where it deserves to be, and he makes more money than he should, commensurate to his talent,
Max,
then that's a good thing for him. But you know, provided he can play, and the father believes the kids can play.
Well, but that isn't the point I'm making. The point isn't simply whether or not his fame has exceeded his ability, but whether or not he's going to find a workplace that allows him to be the best basketball player he can be. Because as of right now, Lonzo Ball will show up for work next year with his father having insulted 2 of the top 50 greatest basketball players of all time, including the greatest basketball player of all time, insulted both of them, insulted the reigning MVP in Steph Curry, and insulted the best player over the last generation in LeBron James, in suggesting that his son won't be able to play ball, whereas the Ball children, they're the real stars of the next generation. So next year, when Lonzo Ball shows up into a locker room with his father insulting that Mount Rushmore of basketball, including active players, I wonder, will it be a more friendly or more hostile environment he begins his workplace in?
You're not wrong about that, but those are marginal factors. The thing that's driving this whole thing, that will drive it, the engine of it all, and we will see, was how good the kids are. If Lonzo Ball is a great player, then you're right. To start the season, guys might enter the game like that. But if he's balls, then they're going to leave the game going, no, he's the real deal. I mean, that's the way it works. Can the kid play? Yes or no? So far, the answer is yes.
I'm just shocked, Max, that all you're thinking about is basketball. This is a father that we're talking about that's impacting the lives of his kids, and all you can talk about is whether they can ball or not, like you're completely oblivious to the world that we're living in.
How the advent of social media life in a way that they don't like?
I'll let you speak. Let me finish. I'm going directly to what you're saying. I'm saying to you, we also debated this a few days ago. We brought up Richard Williams. We brought up how he had to step back because he was front and center when it came to Serena and Venus. But guess what the difference is between Serena and Venus compared to Lonzo Ball? He wasn't just talking junk when they were, when they were amateurs. He was talking this smack when they were pros and they were winning, and it was still uncomfortable. So imagine how much pressure it's going to be before the kid even is going pro, before he has accomplished anything, and you're the dad and you're bringing all of this kind of attention, which we know is not going to end up being limited to just what they do on the court. They can go to a club. They can go to a party. They can go down the street at the damn supermarket, for crying out loud, and find themselves in the news for all the wrong reasons. And it might not be of their own volition in any regard, but because their father brought this level of attention to them. You have now put them under a microscope they never asked for. As ball players, they ask for the attention based on their skill set on the court. He's bringing the kind of attention to them for different kinds of reasons.
And Lonzo,
we're presuming to know what those kids want, and they seem unflappable to me so far.
Want.
And maybe ultimately the wisdom of what you're saying will prove to be wise.
Well, then if that's the case, then why What's there to
But
debate?
it may not be. It may not be.
Look,
the Ball family may be the exception that proves the rule. And,
Okay.
and whether or not there's a general feeling that a parent shouldn't do this, in this case, they may be exceptional. So
But
far, in many respects, they are.
If Lonzo rises above it, and if Lonzo plays ball and reaches all those expectations, that's on Lonzo. He gets credit for that. Good for Lonzo, but there's no debate about whether or not his father is making it easier or harder. Lonzo will have done it despite his father insulting the best basketball players in the history of the game.
According to you, but maybe not according to them. In other words,
Max,
LeVar
stop.
Ball raised his kids this way, and now
stop,
you're
Max.
asking him to change things.
Max, if you had sons, there's no way you would do this. Don't be hypocritical. There's no way
Because
you
I
would
wouldn't
do this.
do it, I say
you
he
would not
shouldn't
do
do
it.
it.
You
So
wouldn't do
everyone
it. You
has to
wouldn't
do
applaud
things
it. I'm telling you,
the way
I
I
know
would
you
do it or
well
you
enough.
would do
I'm
it.
saying you, Max Kellerman, I know you well enough to know that you would avoid doing such a thing because you would be worried about the attention off the court that would come in the direction of your kids if you had sons. And you know
But
it.
the world is a more interesting place because not everyone would do it the way I would do it. We're
so
not
it's more
talking about
interesting.
criminal
It's more
behavior or
interesting.
something here. We're talking about a father that brags too much about his kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're talking about.
But no one's proposing to put him in jail. We're just criticizing him. Which he deserves.
Because
Which
you
he
don't like
deserves.
people who brag about their kids? Okay, he does. Let's see if the kid backs it up now. And then the bragging, one day Lonzo Ball may be there and say, I liked everything my father said. Yeah, put pressure on me, but he always put pressure on me that way. And that's how I became the best version of what I could be. He could be giving
All right.
that speech when he enters the Hall of Fame one day or not. Time will tell, and it makes
We
it more
gotta go.
interesting in the meantime.
We got to go.